So, I am one of those vegan cowboys. And someone is waving at me, but I'm not too sure. The receiver is there, so I have to do this. Right? Okay, cool. So, and we aim to make cheese to start with from grass without the cow. So I hope you would also like that to eat still from the grass, but with the stainless steel cow. And we name her Margaret, and this is her. So what we do at Those Vegan Cowboys is we make use of something called precision fermentation, which is, well, roughly to be compared with brewing beer. So what we do, yes, here it is. So if you look at the cheese making process in the old days, you feed grass to a cow, then the cow gives milk, and then you extract the casein and the fat, and then you add water, microbial rennet, and other ingredients to make cheese in the end. So what we do at Those Vegan Cowboys, and we call it the golden age because we see a lot of advantages, we start with grass. We feed it to our stainless steel cow, which is in real life a fermenter, but this is a nice picture of this fermenter. Then we add microflora, and the microflora make casein and whey proteins out of the grass. And those are identical to the caseins in cow's milk. So that's really important. So we have the same casein in the end, compared to the casein in the old days. And then we add water, plant-based fat, microbial vegetarian rennet, or vegan rennet, and other ingredients to make plant-based cheese. And what is really unique for the cheese of Those Vegan Cowboys, that our cheese is identical to the cheeses you know right now. So if you go to the supermarket now, to Albert Heijn, and you buy a vegan cheese, then it's made of cashew nuts, for example, or coconut oil. And you still have a difference in taste. But the cheeses we will make are exactly the same as the cheeses as we know them right now. Why on earth would you like to work with a stainless steel cow? Well, for us, that's a no-brainer, because we see it as the logical next step in dairy farmer. If you look at the role of the cow right now in modern dairy farmer, she is, well, just a part of an industrial process. She's not really efficient. It's not voluntary work. She doesn't get paid for it. And, well, from our perspective, there are all kinds of reasons to get her out of the food chain and replace her by a stainless steel cow. Because this stainless steel cow, besides all animal welfare issues we can talk about, works way more efficiently. So, just to compare some numbers. As a human man, you approximately need 2,500 calories a day and 2.5 liters of water to get your day started, or well, to get the day done in the end. If you are a cow and you give milk, you need to run a marathon every day. So you need to be fat, like a marathon runner. So you need over more than 50,000 calories and over more than 150 liters of water to produce 25 liters of milk, which is approximately 11 to 12,000 calories for human in the end. So we kind of think that this is not really efficient. If we look at the cheese we aim to make, this cheese is made with less calories and less water. We only need 1/5 of the water and the calories the food a living cow needs. So in the end, if you have exactly the same cheese and one is produced with less water, less land, and has no problems with CO2 and methane, well, I think it's quite easy to choose the cheese you like to eat. And why is it good for all of us? because the system we have right now, well, it can't stay. It's bankrupt. If we want to feed the growing population in the world, then we need to do something, because we don't have enough space right now to feed all the people. So I find this a very interesting number. If you look at the land on Earth, 30% of the land on Earth is used for agriculture right now. 23% is used for food crops, which gives us more than 80% of our human calorie intake. And we need 77% for animal farming, which gives us, in the end, 37% of our global protein consumption and only 18% of our calorie intake. So, well, if we will eat more plant-based, then it's quite easy to see what you can do. And you can even free up land to give back to nature with a growing population. So one last thing, I'm from a family of farmers. Our CEO, Jaap Korteweg, is still a farmer, an organic farmer. And, well, of course, at every party in our family, they ask me, like, are you going to destroy my industry? And, well, I love my family, so I definitely don't want to destroy them. But I want to look with them to the future. And I think this is not a threat to farmers, but this could be an opportunity, because we will need grass. In the end, we will still need grass to make these cheeses, but another type of farming. So you can leave out the living cow, you can bring in the stainless steel cow in your stable. She doesn't need antibiotica, she never sleeps, and I think the future is bright for all of us.
Thank you so much, Hille, for your great, clear presentation about those vegan cowboys. But on the other side of the couch, we have André Mulder. And I would like to give you the floor to tell your story.
Yes. Good afternoon. I do not often give presentations in English, so if you hear a wrong word, apologize. Normally my son would do these English presentations, but although I'm 63, I think I can do it. My name is André Mulder. I'm CEO of the raw milk company. In De Lutte, it's a small village about 20 minutes from here. Together with my wife Tony and our son Koen, and with a great team of employees, about 10, 11 employees, we produce raw organic dairy products, such as kefir, yogurt, soft cheese and butter, and some other more products. In addition, we have a little small organic shop at the location where in a week there are coming 600 to 700 customers to do their organic shopping. It's a very important part of our company, and it's the most likely job to do, because we get so much grateful customers. I shall tell you why. We do not use pasteurization or homogenization, but only fermentation as the main process to preserve our raw milk. We collect the milk from 2 local dairy farmers, and we do that every morning, warm and fresh, and sometimes in the evening. The milk is about 80% grass-fed, and no antibiotic is used, 0. The concentrate amount is low, mostly local, and does not contain wheat, corn, soy, or sunflower components. So the most used grains are barley, oats, and rye. This way we create omega-3/6 ratio of 1 to 2, which is very good. Before we started the raw milk company, I was an organic dairy farmer since I made the conversion to organic in 1995. So this year, 28 years. I was one of the first organic dairy farmers in Overijssel, about 60 kilometers from here in Zwolle. After 10 years later, I was thinking about the fact that our organic cows, they produce milk, a natural product, but after leaving the dairy factory, the organic milk is not natural anymore. So someone advised me to read this book, The Untold Story of Milk, and written by Ron Schmid, and in this book was told about the healing properties and health benefits of raw milk. I was very curious if raw fermented milk could be of interest to us. We started making raw kefir in a bucket. We make it with a kitchen mixer, and we began to sell it in our farm shop, a very little farm shop. After a few months, consumers told us remarkable stories about all kinds of health effects, reduction or even curing of gut, skin and fatigue problems, less problems with allergies, asthma and even COPD. Some people stopped their medication after 20, 30, 40 years of using medication. You will understand that our customers were very pleased to have this experience. These health effects gave us the confidence to build a new dairy plant in the Lutte because we had to sell our dairy farm because the government wants to build a new highway through our pastures. So there was, on one side was that a threat, but on the other side gave us the opportunity to build a new factory. In 2013, we launched our brand Rauwpower, and at this moment we collect 25,000 liters of milk a week. We sell our products to 3 organic and 2 conventional wholesalers, and in our own shop we sell 10% of our total production. At this moment we're increasing very fast. More and more consumers are advertising our products on social media and tell about the health effects. One doctor cured herself from asthma, allergies and gut problems. She has stopped all her medication after 25 years of using medication and is now one of our greatest ambassadors. One of our biggest challenges is the fact that we are not allowed to advertise with these health effects. At this moment I do it, but on our website and on the newspapers we are not allowed to use these health effects. Yeah, you see here one. And as long as they are not scientifically proven, we are not allowed to use these sheets. So for us, it's very important that other people tell about us, because that is allowed. Journalists can write about us, but we are not allowed to tell anything. If we do that, we get a fine of 150,000 euros from the Dutch NVWA. So for us, it's important that other people tell about us. And one of our biggest challenges is the fact that we are not allowed to use these effects. So this is very, very difficult for us. Sometimes people ask me into the future, to look into the future. What's the plan? How big can your company grow? 100 years ago, every village had its own dairy plant and collected the milk from local farmers and when ready, sold locally. This is the most efficient way to produce and consume dairy products. So it's not our goal to become a large, big concern, but I have a dream. Someone did that 50 years ago. I hope I'm not being killed. My dream is that every village of, say, 3,000 citizens or more gets its own dairy plant. And such a plant can provide the local population of raw fermented dairy products. For the environment, there's also a lot to be gained in the form of more local circular agriculture with a much lower footprint. You see, this is after 3 weeks. That woman has 4 or 5 years, she had neurodermitis, and she went to a doctor, and the doctor couldn't help her, all kinds of therapies. But after 3 weeks, kefir, raw kefir, that happened. And on that's one. Before, after 1-2 weeks, and after 7-8 weeks, it was almost cured. So at this moment, a lot of scientifically research is happened with kefir and also with our raw fermented products, and there are some very hopeful results. You see how we are increasing. Since August last year, there are a few influencers who make a lot of advertising for us. So we are very busy at the moment. Almost too busy to be here. A grazing-based dairy farm that produces only raw fermented milk costs the least energy in the form of less tillage, less concentrates, less fuel, less tractors, and less other machines. If energy-consuming processes such as pasteurization or homogenization are omitted, this also makes a huge difference. Then for the economy, an honest price for the farmer, an honest price for the citizen, and less so for the large multinationals, because I don't like large multinationals. The money stays in the local economy, and this is very important for certain areas where young people are moving to cities, leaving the countryside behind and increasingly sparsely populated. So, another thing, less cows are needed because the raw dairy products are much more nutritious. You don't need so much milk at all. Added sugar wasn't necessary, but is no longer needed because the creamy dairy is so tasteful, and you can add fresh fruit or other natural products for the variation. I think citizens' health will improve significantly. You saw the pictures, but we have 200 emails and maybe 300-400 people who want to send us an email, but I think that, which means that far fewer people are needed in healthcare, and healthcare costs will fall sharply. Given the present projections for healthcare costs, this gives great health benefits. Also for the mental health care. And most importantly, of course, the overall well-being of every human being. My father started drinking raw kefir when he was 92. 2.5 years ago, he died at the age of 105. In the last 12 years, he was more healthy than the 50 years before that. So it doesn't matter if you get older, but you have to give your gut the right food. Ron Schmid quoted that raw milk is nature's most perfect food. I will add my comment that it cannot be imitated or replaced. And I want to close with a famous quote of Hippocrates: "Let food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." Thank you.
And thank you, André, for your presentation.
Okay.
You can sit down, and I'll sit in between you before the battle gets too hot. All right. Yes.
You.
Well, I think it's safe to say that your presentation, Hille, really showed us that there is a way to revolutionize the food system. And you can really try something that we all cannot really grasp yet. How can we make cheese without a cow? But you're also here on stage to talk about a revolution.
Yeah.
What do you think your raw milk company gives us back as a revolution? What's your revolution to the system?
Revolution is that we will, our method is to collect the milk locally. So we don't have a great footprint. We don't use much concentrate. We don't use antibiotics. And you've seen the pictures. The health effects are so remarkable that I think raw fermented dairy, I think within 10, 20 years, it will be booming.
Yeah, so your main revolution is the health benefits. And if we can do it locally, we'll also save a little bit of the wasted CO2. Yeah,
and also the other facts that the use of water and the use of concentrate from in the present dairy industry, they use a lot of concentrates from Ukraine and Argentina. But we export 70% of our cheese and all the dairy products. But that isn't, and the manure is staying in Holland, so that it's not good for the environment. It's not circular at all. So I agree with Hille that this is a bankrupt system.
And can raw milk? In what way can raw milk decrease the amount of dairy we eat? Because I can suspect that you still want people to eat dairy.
Yes.
But you're also talking about a bankrupt system where we have too much production now and we export a lot of production. Yeah. Can we change that with raw milk?
I hope that the plans, this will be difficult, that the plans for the government that we have to do to reduce all the animals, because it's not only the dairy but also the pigs and the chickens, is all too much in Holland. Yeah. So the milk price in Holland was last year very high, huge, also for the conventional farmers. So when that price is staying, I think 30–40% of the cows we can get rid of.
And getting rid of cows is also what you're proposing.
Yes.
And I think a question you might also often get asked is the revolution in raw milk is also in the health benefits. Have you thought about the health benefits of your production of cheese?
Sure. Because, I don't think people eat cheese for their health. If you do so, that's not...
Don't.
Don't. But what we're trying to do is to make the healthiest cheese. So if you look at cheese, we look at the best fats for our cheese. We look for the best ingredients. Of course, our cheese is free from lactose for people who cannot eat lactose, for example. But our cheese will never be a very healthy product in the end. That's for sure. It's a product you eat because you like it. You don't eat brie or parmesan because you want to be very healthy. But what I find interesting, I think we can make a very good marriage, because I guess we could also make your product with a stainless steel cow, right?
Yes, but my question is to you, how do you get the grass in the machine? You can use a machine to put it in the machine, but we can use a cow. So there are still the grass must be mowed.
Sure, yeah. Like if you look at the modern farm right now, the robot gets into the field and collects the grass and brings it to the fabric, or the farm where the cows are. Yeah. And that process will be exactly the same. So you have to feed the fermenter as you have to feed the living cow. And that will be exactly the same. We haven't looked at raw products yet, but because we're now focusing on the casein, because that's the most important ingredient for the cheese. But I'm sure in the end you can make all dairy products with precision fermentation as well.
Would you feel interested?
And also the very healthy kefir, for example. Yeah.
Would you feel interested in trying the raw milk from the, do you believe that's a possibility, the raw milk from the machine?
Yeah, there's also the question from the milk from machine is not milk. You can call it milk, but I think that let's stay with the product milk. It's from a cow or a goat or a sheep or a camel, but not milk from a machine. And let's call it, give it another name.
No, what we do is we don't make milk. We make casein. Because if you make cheese, you extract the casein from the milk. So we are not interested in the other parts of milk.
In
We
that
only
sense, you can
make casein.
add onto each other, so the milk can still come from the cows, and you can work on the cheese. That
No,
could
but
be
we don't need the milk.
No,
For
you don't
cheese,
need the milk.
We
but
don't need the milk.
If people want milk, but if people want cheese,
Yeah, but we can also make milk.
yeah.
We can we can build the milk also from the casein and the whey, but I'm not too sure. I don't know how kefir, what the ingredients of kefir are, so we probably will not make the product within 1 week here on the Dutch Innovation Days. But
Well, maybe it's nice if you can shortly explain how kefir is different from milk.
Diffy. Yeah, we collect the milk warm from the cow. So on the farm the milk wasn't cooled, and we get the milk on the right fermentation temperature. So we don't heat the milk. So it's all we only use low energy cost processes. And then after collecting the milk. Within half an hour after pumping the milk in our tanks, we add bacteria and yeast. And that's the only thing we do. It's so simple. Why isn't there anyone before me who thought about this?
Well, I think it's also sounds a little bit technical.
It's all very simple, really.
I don't know how to do that in my backyard.
No, the backyard would be different.
But
difficult.
We're both talking also about the revolution of the dairy industry. How do you guys think technology can enhance both of your innovations to create a different dairy industry?
Well, I think that the modern dairy industry is full of technology. It's not an animal business. Animal is part of the industrial process. If you look at the milking machines, it's full of technology. So the dairy industry is already a technology industry, and the animal is just a very tiny part of the full industry. And we just take it a step further. So yes, technology can enhance, and in this case even, kind of save the industry, I would say.
Yes, and is one of your main arguments also that you want to take the animal out because you don't feel it's fair for the animal anymore?
Sure, yeah, because I can hear a baby in the audience. Like, I became a vegan when I was at a dairy farm where a calf was just removed from his or her, I'm not too sure what it was, mother. And I was there when I just gave birth 2 months before for my son. And I can still hear the calf screaming. And that's also one of my personal reasons why I want to change this industry.
Yeah, I can
And
understand.
I still think about it when I hear the baby over there. It still gives me the chills. Congratulations on your baby.
And you're using biological milk?
Yes.
Do you think about the same? How do you think about animal welfare in that sense? Because biological means you've thought about it, I suppose.
Yes. When I had my own cows, we sold the cows 8 years ago. For 10 years before that, we started to have a foster mother system. So we used cows who feeded 3 to 4 calves in the summertime. So, but then after 3-4 months, when we would separate them, the screaming was even more than when you take the calves away the first day. So, but we let the calves for 4 months with their mother, or the foster mother. So you can also, when you have cows, you can do a lot of innovational things.
Mm-hmm. But in the end, that's a little bit of what I find the problem of the dairy industry.
Yeah.
It's all like just tape, or I'm not too sure, like the English word. It's just,
industry.
yes, that's like, it's just a small innovation, but still in the end,
It's
the
small.
cow is screaming. And if there is an alternative, why wouldn't you just take the alternative?
Yeah,
But
so
for
the
me,
very
it's that simple.
the very foundation of the animal
Yeah.
being harmed in that sense emotionally or
Yeah.
later also
Why?
physically.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would we even do it if we don't need to do it?
That's why when I was a farmer, I did these things. I didn't use antibiotics, none, zero. We keep the horns on the cows. We had the calves with the foster cows, and some about 15 to 20 calves. So we were very innovative. But yeah, and even more and more farmers are doing this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But not much, but.
Yeah, so you're actually saying those small things help enough for us to be able to argue that we're doing fine, cows are doing fine.
It's also, and what we did, it was also when you have a grass-based farm, you don't have to plow the soil, or it can, for hundreds of years, it can be grass. So, and if the cows get the feed themselves and they bring the manure to the fields, it's a low-cost system there is.
But in the end, I also hear quite often we need the manure of the cows, but that's also not really the case. And there is one farmer who lives in Flevoland, the Joost van Strien. He's the farmer of the year in the Netherlands. He has like the fully plant-based way of farming, so he doesn't need animal manure, but he just uses his own crops to feed the crops. And the only way where we lose nutrition is where we human people go to the toilet and flush it to the toilet. So if we want to get nutrition back, then we don't need to pee in the toilet, but we need to collect the pee and then give it back. And then we have a full circle system. And then you don't need the manure of the cow.
Yeah, so if we make it more circular from that perspective.
Yes, if we would make a real circular system where we use the nutrients which get lost out of the human and we will bring them back, then you don't need animals.
Yeah. And I think for you it might be more difficult to imagine a world without animals.
When I live in De Lutte, where it's a beautiful village, and there are so much conventional farmers who keep the cows in a barn, and that is it's destroying the countryside. I think it's also for the tourists, and for us it's beautiful that there are cows in the pasture. But when you know that those cows get feed from Argentina and from Ukraine, and we export almost all the dairy products, it's not a circular system.
Yeah.
But when locally, you can do it locally. In Holland, you can't imagine that. But I think it is possible. Look like Switzerland. There are parts in the mountains where this still happens for hundreds of years.
And to achieve this, we need people to eat a lot less dairy products.
Yes.
How do you think we can convince consumers to eat less, and if they eat raw?
I think the pictures we take, there are millions of people who suffer from gut problems and skin problems, and so we think we have
The health solution.
yes.
Convince them on the
Yes,
health, and then they'll decrease their consumption and switch to raw.
I said that there are even more and more doctors here in our region. They send patients to us.
Wow, so you're kind of
Yes,
like a
at this
doctor, not a
moment.
farmer.
At this moment.
And I think it depends on how you make the dairy. Like
Yes.
if you make the dairy with stainless steel cows, you don't need to convince people to eat less dairy, except for health reasons, for sure, but not for the planet, because you just make it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you two would be on the board of the dairy industry and you would have to together create the future of dairy, what do you think it would look like? How could you work together to reach your goals?
I think the farmers were not pleased when I was in the board. I think they would not chosen me. But,
I think for farmers, it's really important. If I look at the farmers in my family, if I look at the farmers, we live outside, so we live in between the farmers. So they should look forward and not only listen to what the government wants, but look forward, just what you did. Like what will happen in 20 years. So not what will happen in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, but what will happen in 20 years. And as an entrepreneur, because a farmer is an entrepreneur, take your own path. You were one of the first to go to organic. There wasn't a government who told you to go organic, I guess. So if I was on the board from a farmers association, I would say, look forward, don't listen to the government. That's the problem right now, but what do you want for your farm, for your planet, for your family? And be a real entrepreneur. And there is a shift to plant-based or less animals. Everyone sees it. Yep. So if you are a smart farmer, then you go that direction. And if you stick to what you're doing right now and what you've done in the past 20 years, then your business will disappear, just like every entrepreneur.
Look what's happening with in the pig industry. I think the last 10 years there are maybe 5-6 million pigs less in Holland. So those farmers disappear.
I think in every generation, maybe you know that better than I do, in every generation 50% of all the farms disappear.
Yeah.
Because of technology, because there is no one to follow up, for example. So that's nothing new. Like that happens every generation.
Yeah.
Farms are getting bigger, but the amount gets smaller.
But we don't need less farmers, we need more farmers. But small
but
farmers.
Different.
more small farming.
And maybe a couple of them could be with steel cows.